All right. So here's a more in-depth guide. We're gonna go over it Friday. So today's Friday, right? Am I tripping? Yeah. So we're gonna go over Friday. I just seen Thursday down here, so I was like, what the heck? But we'll go over Friday. So first thing you want to do is never trade unless it's after 7:30, right? Because this time frame is where you want to gather information, right? So first things first, you could have taken this trade if you wanted to, but for me, it's not in my time frame, so it doesn't concern me. And you doing this, waiting, builds patience in the long run, right? Because with these fibs, you want to wait for pullbacks. You want to wait for the pullback, and then that's where you get your trade, right? Because trades or market doesn't move like this, it moves like boop, boom, right? Or it doesn't move like this, it goes boom, boom, right? It needs a pullback before it goes further towards its draw on liquidity or its draw on imbalance. Same difference, liquidity imbalance, right? So I marked this out for you guys, and I gave you guys a copy on the buy sides, sell sides, and the 1 hour gaps that were made previously in market. So all these, so you're welcome. You could go ahead and use those. It's your own copy. But so we had this gap that got negated, right? So if you did take this trade, you could have aimed for the middle of this imbalance or the top side, and you would have been good. Now, going into this, as soon as it hit 7:30, right? I marked this fib from that high, or you could do this low or this high if you want to, right? But I marked from this high, actually this high, because it sweeped. But basically, you would mark it from this high to this wick low, and this is your range for your entry right here. Now, the reason why you don't want to look for longs here is because we were, so first off, we faked buy or faked sell side sweep right here, a fake of a sell side sweep. This is on NQ mini, so I don't know about regular MNQ, but we faked that. Then in this zone right here, we kept on re-referencing it, so we were accumulating. Then we had a little push up. We probably took 1 minute highs over here, but I'm probably not. But more than likely, this is generating liquidity, right? Because we have our market open right here with a huge wick. So technically, this is our manipulation, right? So making this our manipulation, it doesn't take this high, right? It fake sweeps it with this high. It fake sweeps because it never really takes this. So you would take this as your high and this as your low for the range of shorts at this wick for 200 points. Or 206, I mean. Right? That's why you don't aim for buy side. Or that was my reasoning, at least. So 206. Right there. Boom. Right? That's your first trade. It's a banger. Now, next thing you want to do, as soon as you're in this trade, look for range imbalances, right? So this range right here, this low to this high is balanced because it taps in. Where's our next range? We have this small range right here from this low to this high. Okay. Then we have another range from this low to this high. Right? Then we have, let me get these like right here. OCD. Okay. And then we have another range from this low to this high. Right. So there's our 3 fibs that we have. And let's see how it reacts. Okay. First fib right here. So you could have took this all the way down to this fib. And the reason why you don't bring it all the way down to this fib or this fib is because you want to be cautious and you don't want to be greedy, right? Even going to this fib is greedy. You could have just got out at 200 ticks, but let's say you want to ping pong market, right? So after you get tapped out, you could have waited for buys, right? No confirmation needed because it keeps on wicking here. And as you know, after it rebalances, market will get a pullback, right? So technically, we're riding manipulation right here. And for 200 points, right here, and you get out this wick. Right? Now, this wick should indicate that we have, let me get out this tool right here. So this huge wick indicates that eventually we're gonna rebalance this wick because that's a huge wick. So keeping that in mind, this pullback is manipulation. So you could went for the top of this wick, and keeping that in mind that it will rebalance, it'll probably continue even more. So you could have aimed for our buy side and got out at buy side. Boom, right there. Right. Every time you see these huge wicks, usually market will come back and take them out eventually, right? Like this wick right here. What did market do? It comes towards it with our bias and takes it out, right? But yeah, usually these huge wicks are like induced volume from market, so it'll come back and take those out eventually, right? So if we kept on continuing lower, you would want to see this wick get taken out with a pullback eventually and then go lower. Now we're gonna go over the 9:30, right? 9:30, 9 o'clock, even 8:30, and 9 or 10 o'clock. Right? So here's our time frames and zones. So first, you know that 9:30 is going to be very volatile. So you would expect this to be our manipulation, right? So you see this huge push down. That's our manipulation right there. You can just mark that if you want, but obviously I just know that this is our manipulation. because the fact that it fake sweeps these lows, right? So we have one fake sweep here. And then we have one fake sweep of this buy side. And then we have a real sweep. So right here, this is a fake sweep of buy side. And then right here is our real sweep of the highs and the buy side. Okay. Now keeping this in mind, we also sweep Asia highs, right? Okay. So now, here's the trades you could have taken. You could have grabbed your fib, high to the low, and you could have gotten at this wick, actually. This one. I took this trade from this wick. But obviously, this one's pretty risky. Yeah, that's the trade you could have taken. And instead of taking it all the way down, you could have took it to True Day Open because that's a safe spot to get out at. Now, that trade I only got like 500 bucks. Okay, after this manipulation, I was like, oh, okay, we got fake sweep. So, well, what are we waiting for? We're waiting for the pullback. We get this real sweep here, okay, and it's New York AM, all right. So it's targeting Asia highs, and then sooner or later it's gonna target London lows, right? So that's what I'm aiming for. So we get the sweep of here, we get a sweep of the buy side. We struggle on buy side, right? So what do? I take shorts. Take shorts. Wait, 50 ticks. Right. To the tick, I got in as soon as this candle closed right here. Above buy side, I got in right here at this candle with 50 ticks, and I was aiming for London lows, which would be here, right? That gets hit, or we look at our zones, our imbalance zones. We do have another one right here. I forgot to mark. From this low to this high. Right. Okay. And that one again doesn't get hit. Which one was it? It might have been this full range right here, actually. Full range. This should hit. Let me see. I might have drawn my fib wrong, but we do hit from the tick. Maybe it was from this low. Might be tripping right now. This might be it. Okay. Get rid of that. Don't want to confuse you guys. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's the one. Okay, so let me get rid of these old ones. So we had our first fib, right? For this low to this high, right? Then we have a pullback. So here's our next fib drawing from here to this high. So that's our next fib drawing. If you want to get more precise, you could have drawn this one, right, from this pullback, and then you have this OTE zone right here. But this was my range imbalance. This one and this one down here. But so we aim for our range imbalance, which gets hit, and you immediately take buys after. From our point. Now we did have another one at around 122 or 822 right here. This was our other one. So you could have risked less on this one, and then risk more if it does tap the second one. Now you could aim for 200 points right around here. Truly open, which is what I aimed for, because that's just what I aimed for. Or you could have aimed for our range imbalance, right? Now I'm pretty sure this will be low a day, so we'll probably get a push up sometime soon and take out these highs or go for our buy side, but not sure at the moment because the buy side is pretty far and we are out of New York AM, so it's kind of hard to decipher what's gonna do. All right, so we have our next range right here, right? Or you could say it's from this high, actually. This high. And you could aim for that range imbalance and got out at that wick. And you could have sold here if you wanted to. Right? $100 boom, there you go. Those are all the trades you could have taken. Now there is another fib down here from this high to this high, I believe, or you try this high, but this is kind of hard to figure out where the fib for this one is at, because we do get a pullback here, but it's not rebalancing this range. But yeah, you could have re-entered longs if you wanted to. Now, going over quickly, get rid of all of these. Going over bias, right? Bias is a big factor when you're trading. So if you don't have the right bias, you're gonna get cooked. No. Going into today, I already even messaged the peeps that we already have, or I already had these imbalances marked out. I even have these imbalances marked out just in case we do tap back down here. These are other reference points of this range that we could take longs from. Now, obviously we're not going to do that in one day. We'll do that over the span of probably next week. If not, next week we'll get some manipulations upside, taking these 1 hour gaps as manipulation for the day, and then drop 4 hour real move, or it'll manipulate down, take this range, and then continue back up. Those are the options that will happen next week, most likely. But this all changes based on day and based on how market is moving, right? So I base everything based off Asia and London, how I trade, right? So based off what Asia does and London does, New York is where I make the big bucks. Now, Asia and London, you can make a lot of money, right? 200 ticks, 200 ticks. That's 1,000 each. Plus some because we got 228 ticks and 300 ticks, so that's like 1,500 ish, I'd say. But you need the right bias, right? You need to exit at the right times, um, or you just force yourself to exit 200 ticks, right? Just keep that in mind. Now, you will not obviously be able to take all these trades from the very top. There will be smaller trades within that you might catch, right? So you got to remember that even though you're in this trade, like from, let's say you get in this trade from here, don't always aim for 200 ticks if based on where liquidity is lying and where the end goal or other draws on liquidity are, right? So say you're in like down here at this wick, and this isn't 200 points and appears like 200 points. Let's say you aim just for buy side, right? Just pick where you, if it doesn't align or make sense to go for 200 ticks, don't go for it. Go for a range imbalance, right? A range imbalance around this area. So right here, you would get out at here, or for buy side, depending on how strong the volatility is or how strong it isn't. Now, like I always say, never trade, even pre-market for New York lunch. Never trade that. This zone, never trade. I mean, you could throw this trade in because if you got all these wins, you could try to make some extra capital. But at that point, you're over trading. But for me, I like trading, so I'm just gonna keep on trading and trading because I want that money. But besides that, just make sure you have the right bias. Bias is key in the market. And to do bias, you need to find your imbalance and liquidity. Once you find these two, you find your bias. Now, with ICT, what they teach you, like all the ICT people teach you, is that you keep your bias for the whole day or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how they teach it in ICT, but you want to keep your bias and never change it, right? Now, with this model, you want to change your bias based on where range imbalances are, if they do get taken, or where buy side gets, if that gets taken, then you would change your bias. Now, not to say that you want to change your bias repeatedly over and over. It's just about knowing the market. Like me, I could call these out before time because I feel like I know the market a lot. Now, unlike yesterday, right? We have let me go over it real quick. All right. So yesterday we were in a sell profile for Asia, buy profile for London, and a continuation profile for New York. Okay. So, first things first, we have our fib from this high to this low. We have our sell right here. For here. And we have a range of balance over here somewhere. So we take buys from this wick. I believe it was this one. Yeah. So we have our range of balance here. So you take buys from here. Boom. Right? And for 200 points. Bang. Now, this takes forever, right? That's because low volatility. And it was in a search and destroy profile, or seek and destroy profile. Now, for New York, what it did was we had this huge candle, right? This is your sign. We have this huge candle, right? What does it take out? And what doesn't it take out, right? So it doesn't take out these highs. So we got a fake sweep here. Right? It takes out these lows. Right? Oh. Right? Takes out these lows. Okay. And then it fake sweeps London lows right here. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, you could have entered right here. You could have entered here. Right here. For longs. So after market opens, you want to wait, obviously. But you could have entered here. 50 ticks. And you wouldn't have gotten stopped out. But usually you'd wait. And then go for 200 ticks. Right? Boom. And then it hits. Now, besides that, what else did it take out? It took out Asia highs and London highs. Right? With one candle. One candle. Okay. Okay. Now, you could have waited all this out because this was all just chop chop, and you could have entered here for a more safer position, right? For longs. Six. Now, you could have aimed for 200 points, right? Which hits obviously, or 200 ticks, or you could have aimed for our buy side, which we had 2. And it gets taken with, I believe it was this wick that it takes both buy sides. You can aim for that. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. This is a New York continuation profile. The reason it doesn't look like that is because it is consolidation slash chop. But if you look at this image, all right. So we have this continuation, right? So what does it do? It takes out London, lows and highs, and then technically, well, this isn't perfect, but it takes out New York or Asia lows as well, right? So it's a spin-off of a reversal and a continuation, right? So after it takes out both, then it starts continuing. New York continuation, right? So when you're in this profile, instead of aiming for um, range imbalances like a or a pullback, because we already have our pullback right here, and we took both buy and sell sides basically, and there's no reason for us to go any lower because of this order block that was made with this wick. There's no reason to go any lower. And we sweep these. So technically this is an order block right here that gets respected, I believe. But yeah, you would aim for buy sides, right? Based on ICT. This is based on ICT plus the fibs, right? Fib entry, ICT draw. Okay. Now, like I said, this was a reversal and a continuation. What was this? A reversal. So just implementing these and looking how New York, what is it aiming for? You could base your draw and your bias on. But yeah, those are the possible trades you could have taken. You get 3, 4, 5 chances right there. Make that 6 if you get out at trade open in this trade. Right here, you get out at trade open. So technically 6. Right. But that's all I really wanted to go over. Why is this not registering as it? Oh, whatever. But yeah. Basically that's it. If we draw our fib from the lowest low before New York, it should be from this wick probably to this high. See how that reacts. What's market do? Mid range of that. And then let's mark our our OTE. From here to here. Let's see how it reacts. Just about almost to the tick for negative 2.5. But yeah, seems good to me. That's all I wanted to go over really. This is my in-depth version of today and / yesterday. But yeah, never trade before 7:30 because there's no real setup. You want to let market breathe here. Go take a breather yourself, and then once you come back, then you start marking your fibs. Once you're in a trade, then you start marking fibs on the opposite side, looking for a range imbalance, and you could aim for the first range imbalance you see, or you could even aim for a sell side because this was sell side right here, and you could have got out, boom, right there. But yeah, right there. But yeah, make sure you're drawing your fibs, but don't get too caught up, right? You don't want to be drawing so many fibs to where you don't even know which one is gonna tap, because there's just a lot of levels to look at. When you draw your fibs, you could draw a trend line. That's what I do, and just mark it. And then whenever it taps, see how it reacts, or you could just trust it and get out of your sell to go for buys. And ping pong market. Yeah, that's basically it. I'm gonna re-show you guys. I think it's on 2. Re-show you guys this. Right? Here's our system. 1 to 4. Don't be greedy. Here are your exceptions, right? New York continuation for buy side / sell side, or New York reversals for session highs / lows for buy side or sell side. And then here's the model, your entry, and your entry. Simple as that. Good luck in trading. Yeah, that's all I got.